The Velvet Bulge by J.R. Dullard. Having spent many years overseas on army service in India, I had risen to the rank of captain before a deep and abiding desire, akin to homesickness at its most virulent, prompted me to resign my commission and sail for home and England's green and pleasant lands once more. I was dearly looking forward to reconnecting with old friends and family members, and from amongst my old friends there was none I was more desirous to rekindle than that of Lord Archibald Baldy Cox. We had been undergraduates at Oxbridge, specifically at Gaylord College, where we had roomed together. We had parted at graduation. I into the service of my country, and he to take on the title and estates that came to him upon the death of his father, who had passed some short time. We had maintained an affectionate, though sporadic, correspondence in the intervening years, and it was with immense pleasure, shortly after my arrival in Southampton, that I received a letter from Baldy, saying he had heard on the grapevine that I had arrived back in old Blighty, and now urged me to come down at speed to Coxcomb's, his place in Hampshire. In fact, he more than urged. He insisted. Telegram to say when you are to arrive, and I will arrange to send the dog cart to meet you at the station. Having consulted the railway timetable, I did as I was bid, and the very next morning, having checked out of the Star, found myself trundling along the branch line to Ganderford. As promised, I found the horse-drawn cart awaiting me as I stepped down from the train, and was driven at pace to Coxcomb Manor by a young, handsome, curly-haired groom by the name of Bertie Trussell, whose large, rough, muscular hands held the reins as he kept me entertained with bawdy songs and local history along the way. The glory that was Baldy's ancestral home, with ornamental garden, lay within its own parkland, where deer and pheasant roamed freely. At the end of a long and impressive drive, we finally drew up before the principal entrance, and there I saw my old friend, standing in the portico, exactly and excitedly awaiting my arrival. The face that I had not seen for so many years was much changed, yet still unmistakable, despite the addition of his impressive dark brown beard and moustaches, and the subtraction of hair upon his head, leaving a bald, bullish pate. And I was delighted to see, by his joyous smile, that he had managed to keep all his own lovely teeth. He was just as darkly handsome, nay, more handsome, in his middle years than when younger, and my heart rejoiced. "Maxwell!" he cried. "Bawdy indeed!" I replied. We laughed and fell into each other's manly embrace. When we finally broke apart, he took both my hands in his and led me inside, then into the library, where once he had locked the door, we tore off all our clothes and launched into a frenetic bout of naked wrestling. It was as if all the years had melted away, our exertions being just as energetic as in our student days. This had been our tradition. It was how we had excised our surfeit of energy after a dull day of lectures, and it felt good to revisit our past and recapture our youthful virility. Finally, having allowed him to beat me into submission, he pinned me down on the carpet, sweat dripping from his brow, and kissed me full on the mouth, as in our teens. To the winner the spoils. He laughed. Welcome home, Max. Welcome home, old friend. And with that, he sprang to his feet, horseplay over, stepped into his breeches. He had ordered my luggage up to my room, which was already prepared, and bade me bathe and rest for dinner. His wife and children were, he told me, due back from visiting their neighbour, Lady Chatley Mellors, shortly. So, to get a move on, as she was awfully keen to meet me, and it would not do for me to be smelling like a bear. The butler led me through the grand hall and up the spiral staircase, and showed me to my room, complete with ensuite bathroom. The room, I observed, was hung with lurid old masters, picturing mythical characters of the undraped variety, cavorting together as mythical characters are wont to do, and all overlooking a sumptuous four-poster bed, bedecked with red velvet curtains that matched those hung at the window. In truth, the decor struck me as more suited to a house of ill repute than a country seat. Not that I was overly familiar with the interior of the former, you understand. A place had been set for me at a dinner next to Lord Archibald's beloved wife, Lady Letitia. She struck me at the first as charming, as she was lovely, and proved to be just as tactile as dear Archie in her habit of placing her hand on my inner thigh between courses. Besides my hosts, there were 14 children in attendance. Ada, Barnabas, Camilla, Dulcie, Elliot, Francis, Gerald, Helena, Ina, Jacob, Kendrick, Leopold, Martha, and Nora, plus the elderly vicar, the Reverend Xavier Yale, and his good and dutiful wife Zena, who had been staying a few days and attending to the children's moral welfare. After dinner, the children entertained us with a jolly song and danced routine as they exited up to bed, and, with the plaintive little solo voice of Nora, the youngest, still ringing in our ears, for she sang very well indeed, we passed into the drawing-room to partake of a compendium of board games. Snakes and ladders, Ludo, Tiddlywinks, I admit. I had never come across such an insatiable and wildly competitive bunch. Mrs. Yale especially played with all the grim determination of a woman possessed in stark contrast to her otherwise submissive demeanor. I think it must have been past midnight when I retired, leaving them to it. Once in the welcome quietude of my room, I drew back the curtains on the rod to let in the moonlight. Undressed and, lacking the energy even to slip on my nightshirt or beneath the sheets, I climbed fully naked onto the coverlet and promptly fell asleep. I slept so soundly, in fact, that even the window cleaner failed to fully arouse me the next morning, though he certainly seemed to take his time performing his task. In my half-dozing state, the sound of his chamois squeaking over glass was strangely comforting, and it was past 11 when I finally rose to face the day, by which time any trace of him had gone. In the event, I was first to arise. The other adults, I was soon to learn, having continued to play games until 4:30, were still recovering. I ate rolls and drank coffee in the morning room before, needy of company, I left word with the housekeeper that I was setting out for a stroll and made my way to the stables in the hope of engaging young Bertie in further pleasant discourse. Bertie, however, was in heated debate with a brawny, mustachioed gentleman, who I assumed to be the window cleaner, based upon the ladder he held under his muscular arm. Unwilling to intrude, I turned on my heels and left them to it. Returning in the direction I had come, I set off for a break and a brisk walk around the grounds. I returned to the house, having worked up quite the appetite, just in time to enjoy a late lunch with my hosts. The Reverend and his wife, having taken the children off on a picnic to a local stone circle dating back into antiquity. 4:30 in the morning, I reprimanded them both in good humour, then sipped from the spoonful of broth I held to my lips. I trust it was worth staying up for. Letitia's laugh fairly shimmered as she broke a bread roll and spread butter upon one half of it. Mrs. Yale is quite the competitor, but Archie trumped her in the end. Only just, my dear, only just. I fear the Reverend was quite embarrassed by his lady wife's competitive streak. He turned to me conspiratorially, and even when he retired, I still wasn't allowed to sleep, as Letitia kept prattling on to me about your welfare. My welfare? Archibald, admonished him, though fondly. Yes, welfare, boldly replied. She is much of the opinion that a strapping fellow with private income, such as yourself, would benefit greatly from the attentions of a kind and loving wife in retirement, and would, perhaps, further benefit from the blessing of children of his own. I do believe she would be more than happy to play the role of matchmaker. He winked at her. I do have a number of likely candidates in mind, she offered. I'll take it under advisement, I replied, touched by her concerns, disinclined to commit. Thankfully, Baldy changed the subject. And you slept well, I hope? The bed was comfortable? Supremely comfortable, I replied. I slept like a log. Even the window cleaner couldn't disturb me. Letitia paused, and mid-mastication, arched an eyebrow and swallowed. The window cleaner? She said curiously. But he's working on the north side of the house. He's not due to work his way around the south face until the middle of next week. I'm sorry if you were inconvenienced at all. She looked at Archie. He frowned. I'll have a word with the housekeeper. Sorry about that, old chap. Oh, please don't trouble yourself, I smiled. And the soup was delicious, by the way. Mine compliments to the cook. After lunch, Letitia retired to attend to her correspondence, and Baldy took the opportunity to introduce me to the sport of clay pigeon shooting. Bertie was recruited as a clay pigeon shooter, releasing the birds at intervals into the clear contrast of the blue sky. His formerly cheerful features seemed somewhat clouded, yet he kept a respectful distance whilst concentrating rather grimly on his task. The fast-moving, unpredictable targets provided a tough challenge to me, even for a practiced marksman such as Archie. But he took immense pleasure in the pastime, which he clearly appealed to his competitive nature, though I blush to disclose that I did not provide him with much competition. Once the clay targets were released, we took aim and fired upon them. Points were awarded for numbers of kill shots. My score was dismal, but Archie was generous in assuring me that I'd become quite accomplished given practice. The shotgun had quite a kick, and despite Baldy's hands-on demonstration of best practice, my shoulder ached from the constant kickback, and much as I had enjoyed having his company exclusively to myself, I was not displeased when we completed the standard round, and with the daylight fast fading, we returned to the house. The great hall was ringing with the animated chatterings of the children as we entered. The Reverend and his lady wife stood to one side, fatigued and deeply grateful to be handing over their charges to the care of the nursery maid, who marched the children away with no nonsense. Military expertise, as the weary pair climbed the stairs for a wholesome nap before supper. Archie and I parted ways, and a short time later, I luxuriated in the bathtub and soaked my aching shoulder. Certainly, I could not wish for more comfortable lodging, I thought to myself. A hot bath, a comfortable bed, fine food, and the best of company. Though I was somewhat perturbed by the incident with the window cleaner and Bertie's changed manner, I set these things aside and let myself enjoy a pleasant doze in the welcome warmth of the soapy suds. There was a fire in the large grate in my room, and I dried myself in front of it before dressing for dinner. The children were not to dine with us tonight, and so was a small party of 5 that gathered at the dinner table. It was to be the last night of the Reverend's stay, with Christmas feast approaching. He and his wife, beholden to his parishioners to engage in preparations for his many of the elated obligations. He reminded us, if reminder were necessary, that Christmas was the busiest time in the Christian calendar, but he cordially invited us all, myself included, to visit the parsonage in the new year. When Archie and the Reverend retired to the smoking room, and the ladies to the parlour, instead of joining them, I went out into the ornamental garden for a breath of fresh air. A sanguineous moon hung in the night sky, and all was quiet, save for the hooting of an owl at some distance. I lit a cigarette and walked along the side of the house, and it was only upon turning the corner that, with some surprise, I came upon Bertie, who was furiously engaged in cleaning the shotguns. His mouth was fixed and sullen. "Are you quite all right, Bertie?" I inquired. "I don't know what you mean, sir," he replied. "You don't seem to be your usual jolly self." The observation was met with silence. I went on. "Forgive me, but I stumbled upon your argument with the window cleaner this morning." "Window cleaner, sir?" "He's off with sniffles at the moment, sir." "With the sniffles?" I replied curiously. "The man with the ladder." "Oh, him, Filch, you mean? Always one of the odd job, and he's been clearing out a rook's nest." "At the front of the house?" "No, at the side, sir." "And you were having words?" "Oh, he owes me money, sir, and I need that money back, sir, for a ring I was hoping to surprise my fiancée with a wedding band upon Christmas Day, but he says he cannot pay until the new year." His lip was trembling. I reached inside my dress kit, taking out my wallet, and I held a crisp, white 5-pound note towards him. "Will that cover it?" "Yes, but I couldn't, sir." "Indeed you can. There is to be no argument. It is little to me, but much to you and your good lady." He took it from me then, grasping my proffered hand. He kissed it. "God bless you, sir. Our first boy would be named in your honour. Generous return on my investment. Is there anything I can ever do for you, sir?" "There is, Bertie." "Name it, sir." "Just information. You see, the window cleaner is off with sniffles, and Filch was working at the side of the house, and yet I could have sworn there was a window cleaner at my window this morning. Bertie regarded me queerly, and after a brief hesitation said, "That'll have been the ghost, sir." "The ghost?" "Yeah, the ghost of Lug." "Lug?" "Yes, sir. A man named Lug was formerly engaged in that capacity, I understand. Rumour has it that he saw something he shouldn't have done while performing his duties, and was so shocked that he tumbled to his death, split his skull open on one of those ornamental urns that lined the frontage." "When was this?" "Some years. But there are staff that will have it that they've seen him since that dread day with his ghostly ladder placed up against the south face at the very spot where he fell." When I returned to the house, it appeared that others had retired for the night, and so I made my way upstairs. Seated beside the fire in my room, I tried to distract myself with a book, but finding it uninteresting, I soon gave up and went to bed, but not before checking that the window was securely locked and the curtains tightly closed. I drew the bed curtains around me and huddled down for the night. Having been denied the opportunity to quiz my hosts as to why they had failed to mention the ghost's existence, I resolved to do so at the earliest opportunity, before falling into a restless sleep. I know not long how I slept, but I was suddenly awoken with the impression of having heard the latch click on the window sash at the further extremity of my boudoir. I was at once completely and acutely conscious, with all my faculties in a heightened state of awareness. The wind had risen and was blowing a gale around the house. Moments passed without issue, and I had almost convinced myself that what I had previously heard had been mere imagination, when I distinctly heard the sash window sliding open, and then the wind entered the room, causing the bed curtains to ripple. I sat up to listen, and as I did so, I distinctly heard steps approaching the bed from beyond my curtain enclosure. I could see nothing, of course, my view obscured, and all was dark within. But I was certain now. I heard a stealthy tread proceeding inexorably towards me. Then the tread seemed to pause. Upon the instant, my eyes were nearly blinded by a sudden burst of light in the darkness, and it appeared to me that a prominent bulge had appeared in the curtain, immediately at my shoulder. A bulge that quickly morphed into a face, or rather a velvet mask, with forehead, nose, lips, and a chin clearly outlined. The scarlet mouth opened wide, and a hideous scream rang out. It was my own. "What do you want with me, spirit?" I cried in mortal terror. "Much," replied the ghost. It was at that point, I believe, that I fainted. I cannot comment on what occurred in the hours that followed, other than to state that when I woke in the morning, I was to find all curtains thrown aside, along with my nightshirt, that I was experiencing the most sublime sense of relaxation I had felt in years, a relaxation that extended from the top of my head throughout my entire body, to the very tips of my toes. I, of course, quizzed my hosts at the breakfast table first thing. "Why did you not tell me of the ghost?" "Ghost?" Baldy appeared, bemused. "Yes, ghost. The ghost of Lug, a former window cleaner, who fell to his death from the window to my room." "Lug?" Letitia uttered. "What an unfortunate day!" "Not as unfortunate as falling to one's death," Archie observed with a chuckle. "If he did, old man, it was before my father's time. Who told you this nonsense?" Why, Bertie. Bertie did. Ah, Bertie. Archie exchanged a knowing glance with his wife. He is indeed our local historian, and a gifted storyteller to boot. But I would pay no mind if I were you. No mind, I repeated. And there the matter was dropped. I returned often to Coxcomb thereafter. Indeed, it became a second home. In due course, I was made godfather to baby Maxwell, and was blessed him to flourish over the years alongside Bertie and Letitia's own happy brood, and always returning to my room, for it became known as my room, where I was to sleep forever, ever after, like the dead.